All right, our goal is to find the 6 trigonometric functions based on this angle that gives us a terminal point on our unit circle. So that's actually pretty nice, as long as we remember that any of these terminal points, it always goes as a cosine value first, and then a sine value second. So we can kind of, as long as we know how to read this ordered pair for this terminal point on our unit circle, you can start lining things up and say, well, we're given cosine of t is negative 1/2. And we're also given sine of t is going to be negative square root of 3 over 2 in this situation. All right, after we have those two, just based on this terminal point, we can calculate the tangent, as long as we remember that the tangent is defined to be the sine over the cosine. So quotient identity here, sine of t over cosine of t will give us tangent. So we already know sine and we know cosine. Let's go ahead and fill in here. We can replace the numerator with negative square root of 3 over 2. And we can replace the denominator by negative 1 over 2. So we have negative divided by a negative, which will create a positive. The other bit of reducing down here is I'm going to advocate that we multiply numerator and denominator each by 2. All right, this is multiplying by a 1, so multiplying by 1 doesn't change the overall value here. But by multiplying by that 2, multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2 creates a 1 up in the numerator. Multiplying by 2, dividing by 2 in the denominator also creates a 1. So where we're at here is we said the negatives we're also going to get to cancel each other out, right? Numerator and denominator both having a negative will simplify down pretty nicely. So we have square root of 3 all divided by 1. Or, of course, this reduces down to just being the square root of 3. All right, now that we have these three, sine, cosine, and tangent, we can get the additional 3 by using reciprocal identities. So what we mean by that is you can take numerator and denominator and invert them, flip it upside down. Remember, as you do these, sine and cosecant go hand in hand, cosine and secant go hand in hand. Each pair between those two has an S and a C to start it out. So sine starts with an S, cosecant starts with a C. So as we remember that, we flip this upside down and we can say negative 2 over the square root of 3. We can get a little bit better answer by rationalizing the denominator by multiplying both numerator and denominator by the square root of 3. When we do that, we're going to end up with negative 2 multiplied by the square root of 3 in the numerator. And for our denominator, we end up with square root of 3 times square root of 3, which is square root of 9, which will reduce down to be 3. All right, for secant, that goes hand in hand with cosine, except where we invert it. So we can say the negative comes along, then we get 2 over 1, which is going to reduce down to just be 2 with that negative coming along, so negative 2. Lastly, we have tangent, and you can think of this as square root of 3 over 1. Maybe this version would be easier to see it as a fraction, but as we flip this upside down and invert it, use its reciprocal, we have 1 over the square root of 3. We'll do a little bit of simplifying down by rationalizing this denominator, getting rid of the square root from our denominator by multiplying by square root of 3 over square root of 3. So in our numerator, we have 1 times the square root of 3, works out to be the square root of 3. For our denominator, we have square root of 3 times square root of 3 is square root of 9, which reduces to be just 3. All right, so that's all 6 of our trigonometric functions based on a terminal point that's on the unit circle. Hope this helps out. Good luck.